public opinion is very helpful because it it informs us of where we are falling short.
Yes.
Because when we try, it's never perfect. But it's good to listen to the people's opinions and that they are aware of it and they are aware of the challenges. And so we will take that into account and see how we can improve.
La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha.
Welcome to another episode of A Voice of Truth, and we are honored to welcome the esteemed Honorable Ramon Monchi Cervantes to our show today. He is the Minister of State in Belize's Ministry of Sustainable Development and Climate Change. He plays a pivotal role in developing and shaping the nation's environmental policies. And so he also, his leadership also extends to Belize Solid Waste Management Authority. This reflects his commitment to safeguarding Belize's natural resources and communities. So please help us welcome our wonderful guest, Honorable Cervantes. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Stephen, for inviting me to this show. I am very fine. I am well. It's a beautiful day today. And I give thanks to God for one worthy of life.
Yes. So this is a very extensive thing that you do, and you were telling me off camera that you have motivations from before because your family is even the people that used to lead the country. So even with this, what motivated you to even play these roles that you play in your life in this time?
Well, the main motivation is do things to make people's lives better.
Yeah.
We have one country, one world. We are all one big human family. And at the end of the day, we need to see how to live together in peace and harmony and in development.
Yes.
Developing our nations as well as ourselves as human beings, so that we can prepare this world for future generations. Because we are not the only ones, our time expires.
That's true.
So we need to think long term and leave a better place. Make this place good so that we leave it as a good place for future generations.
It's very true. Even within our faith, because we have, Christians have the Holy Bible, the Muslims have the Holy Quran, but we also respect all scriptures before as well. But the thing in the Holy Quran, it says that man has been made a Khalifa or a successor or a stewardess or a protector of her. So, it's very important that, we look upon what we do as human beings because God Almighty has put this responsibility upon us. And it is said that as a believer, that we will be questioned about what did we do, right? Did you help? What did you do to make sure that I gave you this responsibility? So what did you do to make sure that you took full responsibility for it? And so you as the the Minister of State for such is a very big responsibility upon, and I don't envy your position, because it's a situation in which, but I think that you guys have been doing wonderful work in Belize, in regards to making sure that Belize stays upon those places in the world that respects the forest and make sure that, because if you just drive around, when we have people coming from outside of Belize, I would say you guys have a very nice harmony between nature and the infrastructure that you have. We have trees, we have all of these greenery. So they always say that I like that you guys don't really just remove all of the greenery. You still make sure that the nature is still there.
Yes, it is. It's one of our good things. As a matter of fact, this is the first government that actually created the Ministry of Sustainable Development and Climate Change. And now we have the Sustainable Development Unit. As you know, we have about 60% forest cover
Yes.
here. We protect also our waters, and exactly because of that aim, that concept of leaving a better world for us and for our generations. The United Nations set the Agenda 2030, it's called, for sustainable, and the 17 Sustainable Development Goals were identified, and whose purpose is to make, for the benefit of our citizens, of the citizens of each country, bearing in mind one, that when government makes plans, policies, legislations, to take into account the economic growth and prosperity, economic development, and also the environment.
Sustainable development, and how are we prepared for climate change? So that's when we roll this together.
You will continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're good?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I did not know about the 17 goals, and based on the fact that, I guess that was a very good sign that the government said, we need to make a whole department for this. So it looks like we've taken that as a serious matter and working towards it. So, then my next question would be what is the current state of sustainable development within Belize, and are we prepared for climate change?
Yeah. Well, all of this is they are intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
Belize signed on to this Agenda 2030 and 2050, and as part of that, we have to do voluntary national reviews, which is like a report card on how have we been coming along in achieving each of the 17 sustainable goals. We just presented our second, we have done two voluntary national reviews since then, and we just presented our second one this year. I think it was in July, it was presented. And so we have, I think, 7 of the goals on which we are on track.
Wow.
8 of which we are making moderate progress, and there are 2 of them where we need to step up, accelerate. If you don't mind, I would go over just for example, there's sustainable goal in poverty, where we are alleviating poverty. We are making moderate progress. Where our poverty rate went from 36.5% in 2021 to 26.4%.
So poverty rates are going down.
Yes,
that's wonderful.
Yes, then we have the other sustainable development goal, number 2, zero hunger. We're making moderate progress, and that is because we have a Ministry of Food Security now, and in fact, we were declared the only country, one of the very few countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, where we produce most or all we consume, and we can feed ourselves.
Yeah, definitely.
Ourselves. We have self-sustenance with our production. Then you have good health and well-being. We are on track with that. Quality education, we are making moderate progress. Gender equality, we are on track. Clean water and sanitation, we are on track. Affordable.
To be honest, when I go out of Belize, I don't really like the taste of the water. I don't like it here. I don't know why.
I must stick up in here. We went to a conference in Trinidad and Tobago a couple of weeks ago, and Belize got the prize for the best water.
See, this so I know my taste buds are not bad.
They're good. Then we have Sustainable Development Goal number 7, affordable and clean energy, where we are on track. Decent work and economic growth, we are making moderate progress. Industry, innovation and infrastructure, moderate progress. Reduce inequality, that's where we need to improve a lot.
Reduce inequality?
Yeah, we need to see how, well, that involves, making reducing more, they do further reductions, for example, the poverty level,
Okay.
and things like that. Then you have the sustainable cities and communities, moderate progress, responsible consumption and production. That is where also we need to improve, for example, and we are working towards that in trying to get more sources of renewable energy in an effort to really become 100%.
Definitely. I don't know if you know the percentage of like how our hydroelectricity works. Do you know the percentage of that?
No, I'm not.
Because is that would that be categorized as renewable energy or? Is it?
Yes, the hydro, yes. But okay, the percentage I don't know, but I do know we still get a substantial portion.
I think it's like 20, like our hydro is about 20, 25, 30%.
And then we have the cogeneration from both BSI and Santander, the cogeneration with the bagasse.
Okay.
So that is, so we are getting there. Climate action, we are on track. Life below water, we are on track. Life on land, we are making moderate progress. That's where the forest area comes in that we have, but we need to do better. Peace and justice and strong institutions.
Yes.
Also, we are making moderate progress, but we are progressing. And partnerships to achieve the goals we are on track with. That is partnership with other countries. To meet our goals.
I think Belize has always been a very friendly and we always extend our hand to people definitely.
Yes.
I think that's not a goal that is very hard for you guys to attain because even when people come here, they say that our people are very friendly and very open.
Yeah.
Even when, like, for example, when we're giving out flyers, some people from Canada would come and they say, like, when you're in Canada, they didn't even take the flyer. They just really, I don't want it. But in Belize, at least they will have the kindness to take it. They might not read it, but they will still take it. That kindness is something I feel like is inbred in our country. So and with the limited resources that you have, and you're making so many, attaining such goals, moderate progress and everything. That's a very good thing. And I know that you guys are coming for a re-election as well, and I think that basically with the work that you have done, your report card, you said that you just did one in July, and it has said that you guys are passing them.
Yeah, this is it.
And honestly, it's a wonderful thing. And now, in regards to like climate change, I know that it's a very big thing. So like I don't know, like you guys, are we prepared for such things?
We it's difficult to say we're totally prepared because we don't know what climate change will bring because the climate keeps changing.
True.
But we are in preparation because we are our plans are more directed towards disaster risk reduction. For example, when it comes to disaster risk, it goes to we're working more on reducing the risk instead of just responding to it. So we need to work on planning to reduce it, and also to respond to it in ways that will mitigate the negative effects of whatever calamity befalls us. No? So, for example, I think it was earlier this year or last year, we had some people from the United States Army that came and we did some dam break exercises. In case there is a dam break, things like that. Although that is not a natural disaster, but it is caused by if maybe too much water falls. We do a lot in going to maybe the riverside communities and seeing. Try to prepare them.
Educate them.
Yes,
on what they
right.
do and stuff.
On what they do. So, while we cannot say what disaster will hit us, we try to be ready for all hazards and disasters.
Create awareness amongst people, and that's a very good thing to even like get people to understand that there's a possibility that this can happen.
You're right.
So don't just turn a blind eye to it. And even we had a guest, Miss Janona, she
Right.
was also here. She was telling us about like everyone is so willing to learn and be a part,
Right.
calling each other like reef people. Like even he said about like the seas, the people in the sea, under the sea,
Right.
how you guys are making progress with that.
Right.
You know, so I think that everyone is trying to work together to make that a possibility that, you know, sustainable development is achieved within Belize. You know, even when I go down south, I see the people, the Maya community using solar panels. You know,
Yes,
it's a wonderful thing to see that, and you know, I hope to see that, you know, like the government does push that more. And I think you guys have been pushing it to an extent that, you know, it's even cheaper to get like solar panels in Belize. You know, it used to be very expensive, but I think now it's becoming a bit more like affordable. So we did ask people on the street these two questions about like sustainable development in Belize and if we're prepared for climate change. So we'll just go to street talks and we'll see, you know, what they said, and maybe you can just highlight, you know, your views on what they think.
And you know, I'm also must comment that we are focusing also on what are called NDC's nationally determined contributions, what we can make, which is more like a roadmap, like a guide on how to make climate change adaptations and mitigations, how to bring them into government policies, government plans, and even legislation. You know, how to make it so that, for example, because what we do here on Earth affects the climate,
Definitely.
as far as science says.
Yeah.
So if you notice, we have been bringing electric buses.
That's true.
We have different electricity chargers for vehicles, encouraging electric vehicles. So, you know, like you said, solar energy instead of the fossil, moving away from fossil fuels, and then moving from materials that emit greenhouse emissions. So those are things that we are trying to alleviate. For example, in the I think the Ministry of Agriculture is trying to promote what's called I think it's a Silverian pastoral way of raising cattle, whereas before the pastures, they just bulldoze everything, all the big trees and everything, and just have a clean pasture and have more like a lawn, and when the grass grows, the cow eats it. But this, I think it's Silverian pastoral method, is you keep a certain amount of forest of trees, and so that there is more shade and everything, even for the cattle. And
makes sense.
It's been proven that even for the cattle, it's good, you know, for the meat and the quality of meat. So, you know, those are the things that we are trying to
educate them.
Yes, and to bring through. For example, we have what we did the Blue Bond.
Yes.
That was in 2021.
Okay.
Back when that was one of the first accomplishments when we came into office. We converted about half of $500 million US loan, right?
Wow.
Which was about $250 million US. We converted it into like a nature loan, you know, along with the Nature Conservancy, where 30% of our blue waters are protected. As a matter of fact, we just introduced a bill and passed legislation where we to fulfill or one of the conditions of the Blue Bond, we extended the protection by 5%.
Oh, nice.
So we are at, I think, 25% to be able to meet the requirements of the Blue Bond.
Nice.
So that saved us a lot of both in money, and it at the same time it protects our environment.
That's a wonderful thing. I honestly think that the government of Belize and, you know, many different people that work with the environment, they're doing their best to make sure that it is moving forward, a place that can be looked at and say that it's still there and it's still beautiful. So let's go to the street talk and see what the people think. Do they know of sustainable development, or what are they are their thoughts on climate change within Belize?
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله.
What is the current state of sustainable development in Belize? And for example, how you feel Belize actually they get prepared for this climate change situation would happen. So are we making our country or developing our country in a way that it can be sustainable? And are we even prepared for the repercussions of what the climate change will bring?
I think that we need to take our head out of the sand, and I think we need to get all stakeholders involved and educate them. It starts with an awareness.
I just think that there's too many places in Belize that are low-lying areas, and I'm really not sure what the solution to that is. I mean, I probably would say maybe elevate the streets, but then you still have another problem, because if you elevate the streets, then the people's yards will become like the drainage. Right. So there's a lot of things that goes into it, but if the question is if we're prepared for climate change, is it?
Yeah, like for example, you think that even like average Belizeans even think about climate change?
To be honest, I think climate change is probably the last thing on their mind. Where there are too many problems going on in their own life to even even consider something like that.
I feel like they're focused on other things that aren't really important. Like the fire that happened down south wiped out so many people's farms. A lot of people lost their way of living, and I don't think there was any measures to help with that. So I feel like we're not really prepared.
We're not prepared. We're not even trying to get prepared. We don't even know how to start getting prepared. We don't have enough people in this country where they try bring awareness to the dire strait where they look for heat wave. Look, for example, the other day the moon may full and the whole sea front.
Or king tide.
Yeah, the whole seafront, Belize City was loaded with water. We want to say it was only about climate change or it was because of the full moon and the king tide and woo woo woo. A point of time will come when that tide is gonna raise and it's not gonna go back down.
There's things about the geological composition of certain areas where it may need buffering. We have to pay attention to our geology so that we can, sustain it.
We don't have a good infrastructure system. Look at our seawall. It's like the smallest seawall ever built. You could just sit down over it and kick the water. Woo! Jump in if you want. Other than Cancun and the seawall is almost the size of this building.
We waste a lot of money on stuff that is not going to benefit us. It's just for like short term.
You're saying that we should create more awareness, but then how do you think that we should? How do we do that?
Since we're like in a technological age and everything is on social media, I feel like that's one of the best ways to get things across. I noticed that certain people use like reels and stuff to get like messages across. So I feel like that's one of the ways or one of the best ways to do that.
Education. The schools should be involved. Definitely the schools should be involved.
Our people are not educated. A lot of our people are not educated and they're 40, they're 50, they're 60, they're 70. So if we had them as our parents and we look for following at the same footstep, being docile, being complacent, not caring about the future of our children, then now we were sinking at the city.
I would say the best way to raise awareness is to just let people know. I mean, you can do seminars, go house to house, whatever the case may be. Just get the word out there, and the people who want to make a change or want to try to do something about it, they'll gravitate towards it. And it takes more than 1 month to get it done, right?
What do you think are like the challenges we face in regards to like battling climate change within Belize, and how do we like actually make sure or ensure that we have sustainable development in Belize?
You can't demand change in an area that you don't even concern, Kevin said concern, you don't even know about. You know, so if we people don't know anything about these things, how could they combat it? How could they demand certain things? You can't.
Well, for one, I'm not sure if we have enough resources to even battle something like that. I think that's something maybe the government should probably try to look into. Um, I think it's best just to, maybe see, what solutions other countries have done. Maybe that's something that we can try to look at and say, hey, you know what, maybe this might work for us. There's a lot of third world countries out there that's probably going through the same thing that we're going through. So, it's good to learn from someone else and, to see how best we can have it implemented here in our own country.
Poor planning, yes. The funds aren't being used properly,
Yeah.
so that's an issue.
We have to study the earth. The earth will tell us what we need to do, to protect it, and we are the custodians of the earth, right?
Yeah.
So that means we need geologists that are informed, and the politicians need to pay attention to them.
We lack the knowledge that we need, and the ones who do know, they zip it, they shut up because they don't want to lose their job, or they just don't have the spine, the backbone to get up and say anything. So by default, the good suffer for the bad.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this wonderful information, and I do hope that change will happen.
Well, that was the opinion of the people on the streets, and they said many different, I think mostly, the fact is that many people are not aware of the works that the ministry does, and, the fact is that, as you have said, that 7, and you're working on the 8th goal, that from the 17 that you guys are given by the United Nations. So your report card is good, but I guess people never even knew of the existence of the report card now.
Well, it's a work in progress, and one of our biggest challenges is financing. The resources, and they give very good points. For example, the issue of the seawall.
Yes.
Yes, we may need bigger seawalls, but the cost of it.
Yes.
It's. I'm not saying it's impossible.
Yes.
The budget only allows so much because we are still yet a small country, and climate change, or the causes of climate change was not perpetrated by us, the small countries, but by the big countries, the developed countries, the polluters. We always, I think, Prime Minister Hussein in one of the COP meetings said, he said, we always come to COP and promise, the big countries promise so much money for the smaller countries for climate change.
Yeah.
Because we are the ones that get affected again. And they haven't.
You're not the cause, you're just feeling the effect. We're not the cause, we're feeling
and they're the ones that are doing it. We have heard also one of the advocates is Prime Minister Motley from Barbados, who is always saying, you guys are the polluters, you need to come up and find give us the finances so that we can adapt.
Yes.
We can make our countries adaptable to things, to the situation that you put us in, because they are the ones that cause it. So, but we have to work with what we have, and so they what I say is they give some very good points, and I think we have to improve maybe on our social media outreach, and also on our education outreach. Probably that's
is there maybe times when I don't know, the schools would go if you guys have a seminar or something? Has that ever happened?
We've had youth forums, and probably we need to expand it, because the ones we've had is based in Belmopan, so maybe we need to expand it.
Yes.
And awareness. We have, but it's reaching out bit by bit. For example, the Caribbean youth ambassador, Belize's Caribbean youth ambassador, Marisa Cervantes. She's my daughter.
Oh.
And she's doing, like this Saturday, she's spearheading a tree planting event here in Belize City.
Yeah.
So there are groups that are
doing
that get reached, but obviously not all of the population has been touched by it. and we need to do better.
Yeah.
Also, one of the things, since we don't have actual financing for those things, or it's limited,
Yes.
we find other ways. For example, and one of the ways we find is to improve people's lives and their income.
Yes.
Improve people's incomes so that they can have the ability to move. For example, if you live by a riverside and there's no economic opportunity, but it's the only place you need to go. I mean, the only place you have, you can't go anywhere else, but you're working, what you work for is just For example, we raised the minimum wage. It was $3.30 an hour. We raised that to $5.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know that sustainable development, it means also basically financing as
Yes.
well. I didn't know about poverty. I didn't know it was a part of it.
Yes.
So it is because most people were talking about basically infrastructure, and that's what I understood it as. But you have basically enlightened me in the fact that poverty alleviation is a part of sustainable development.
Because the main at the end of it, the main objective is for the benefit of the people.
True.
To improve their lives. So all of these things are intertwined. We have, for example, our poverty rate. Our unemployment rate right now is like 3%.
Wow.
You have people can't get workers right now in certain sectors.
Yeah.
So we have that. We have the government is aggressively promoting the financing and the encouragement of micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs, to try to get people to become entrepreneurs of their own. And we have a lot. Yesterday, I was going on, while I was traveling, I was listening to a program on one of the radio stations where a professor from Yale was talking about their entrepreneurship program, and one of a student was there accompanying him, and she herself was an entrepreneur. So she was running her business while she was studying entrepreneurship.
That's awesome.
So those are the things that this government is encouraging, so that people can live their life, they improve their lives and live a better life, and they have mobility. For example, if you are somewhere and you every time you get flooded and you need to get out, you have the adequate resources to move. Those are the things we try to do to also developing what is the human person.
This is something that even within Islam, it says that, for example, there's something called zakat, that it takes a percentage of those who have capital within their banks that they don't use. So let's just say, for example, you have $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 within the bank. So within our faith, it says that 2.5% of that money, because you're not using it, you should put it and give it to the government so that they can use it for poverty alleviation. So this is an actual part of our faith, and it's a responsibility for those who have the means to not be stingy and not just spend extravagantly, but because you are doing this for the sake of the people, then now you will gain blessings from God Almighty. This is a means for us to gain, nearness and pleasure of God. Because if we are merciful, then God Almighty also will be merciful to us. So this is a lesson within our faith as well. So we are 100% the Ahmadiyya community behind, trying our best to help improve people's lives as well, because it's a part of our faith. It's a responsibility of ours. There's no point of just staying and praying to God Almighty and not also being a human being that helps all of God's creation, because God Almighty will ask you about this.
Yes.
That's why our motto is love for all and hatred for none. So you know that the community is behind you, and in any way that we can help, we will definitely be there with you.
Thank you. Yes, we need to multiply our talents.
Yes, definitely. So we have already spoken about so many different initiatives. I don't think that we can even say more, but just in the end, I would like to know what would be the long-term goals that you think that the ministry has.
Well, the long-term goals is to is to one, many things cannot happen if you don't have legislation
Yes.
and the plans and they're not in the plans and policies of the government. So all these things that we're doing, we are trying to embed them in the legislation, in the national policies. You know, for example, we always have a national climate change action plan. We have our medium and long-term development strategy, which was unveiled in launched then. I think it was last year, and that is aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals, and also the World Bank Group requires that developments that they finance are in line with the Sustainable Development Goals. So this provides like a roadmap, and so that is, for the long term, that is what we are trying to put it into legislation and embed it into the plans and policies and make it a permanent pillar of government action.
So that the government, even whichever government that comes afterwards, and even businesses that come afterwards, they must follow these legislation.
Yes, they follow it, or times change, but use it as a base from which to make maybe adjustments, and so the situation and the environment changes. But always, like I said, bearing in mind the economic growth, protection of the environment, social inclusion, all for the benefit of mankind, so that people in general and everyone can get to live better lives.
I agree. Even with like, for example, in regards to you saying that your daughter is doing like a tree planting thing soon. I just remembered a quote from the founder of our faith. It says that if you plant a tree and that tree bears fruit for even birds or any animal or for human beings, it's a means of having charity. Even after you're dead, this can be a charity for you. You can gain blessings from God Almighty. So, in all honesty, I understand that there are probably a lot of challenges. You mentioned that there's a lot of financial challenges in regards to putting certain things into place. But I see that there is change happening in Belize, and I think that the Belizean public, I think this was part of our purpose of bringing this voice of truth, so that people can see that things are happening. And I am glad that you gave us your time to, in your busy schedule, to highlight the fact that yes, we are doing things. You might not know, but we are doing things, and those we are working with, they know.
Public opinion is very helpful because it informs us of where we are falling short. Because while we try, it's never perfect. But it's good to listen to the people's opinions, and that they are aware of it. And they are aware of the challenges, and so we take that into account and see how we can improve on their concerns of where we are falling short. Because that is what we are here for, to respond to the needs of the people.
Definitely. And with that, I think this awareness will be something that would definitely help in that situation. But with that being said, I want to thank you so much for being here, giving us your time. You can share the information of the social media, so that we will be able to present that on our show, and that the users can definitely see and check it out. They start to follow, so they can see that these things are being done, or this is something that are there any initiatives that you're doing that maybe a person can be involved in? Is there any volunteering, anything like that you guys do?
I would have to check, because usually what we do is we go by for example, when you have the youth forums, maybe people from Galen University and the University of Belize. Yeah, you the different universities that we target instead of just opening, saying, well, anybody. Not that anybody, people will be left out.
Yeah.
But, that is the invitation, but maybe we need to widen, broaden that group.
Yes.
Have representation from more. But we do try. We do try to have as ample representation as possible. For example, when the protected areas conservation trust does a project, they co-manage another environmental group.
Okay.
They don't do it on their own. So they get a co-manager. So people are involved, but I guess then it has to be wider.
Okay. Well, definitely, if there's any type of initiative that, because you're saying that they are, and so with the sharing of the social media page and this, we tell people to follow.
Yeah.
Definitely, they will be seeing.
Yeah, let me get to the ministry.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I want to thank you so much for giving us your time, Minister Cervantes. As always, it's a pleasure. And I wish you the best in all your endeavors. And honestly, I wish you success in your endeavors because just like you said, you are helping to improve lives and make sure that this environment that we have will be here for the next generation. And I also have a son, so I wish you the best of success.
Thank you. Thank you. And once more, thank you for having me here. And it's always an honor to be here at Ahmadiyya. You're always so welcoming, and thanks for your hospitality.
It was our pleasure.
God bless all.
God bless you.
La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah